It's okay to step back. You don't have to push yourself to exceed everybody's expectations. What you need to do is take care of yourself so that you can continue on your own journey.
Tired of being complacent. I done almost had it up to here with my patience.
Hey there, I'm Victoria Makanjuola, and you're listening to Feel Your Feelings, the podcast where high achievers get real about mental wellness. You feel me?
Attention all passengers, now clearing the runway for growth. It's takeoff season.
Gas to the pedal, moving on. 'Cause I've been on that new vibe, living on an incline.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Feel Your Feelings. With me today is Miss April Simpkins. Miss April, I'm so glad that you're here with me today for Podcasthon. I am raising awareness for NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, where you serve as the National Ambassador. I'm so
Yes.
grateful that you are here with me today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thank you for asking that question. I'm feeling great. Today is off to an incredible start.
That's lovely. That is lovely. Well,
Yeah.
I am feeling blessed and highly favored. My nails are hanging on by a thread, guys. But that only shows that I love what I do. Okay, I love what I do.
Dedication.
It's dedication. It's dedication.
Yes.
So I also want to shout out my fellow podcaster, Rena Friedman Watts, who told me about Podcasthon. I would not have known about this had it not been for her. And I'm aware of NAMI for a while now about their work and their advocacy for mental health awareness. And you being a national ambassador, I'm sure that you have been dedicated to this work as an advocate, and you're so busy. And I'm just curious to know, like, how are you filling up your own cup while you are, busy pouring into others?
I love that. I spend most of my time is spent on stage talking to people about mental health in the workplace, which sometimes I feel is one of the few places where we almost feel compelled to wear a mask and keep everything to ourselves. And so whenever I'm doing that, I share lots of tips, things that I do myself. And one of the things that I do for myself, absolutely, is talk to a therapist. I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in your own head.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like being an artist and standing so close to the picture. Sometimes you need somebody who's standing back to say, hey, look over at this side here.
That's right.
And so I believe in therapy. And so I do that for myself. Another thing I do is remember to step back a little bit. It's very easy for me to get so involved that things start impacting me. And it's important every now and again, whether it's social media, whether it's watching TV or whatever it is, I always remember to take a moment and just step back.
Mm-hmm.
I read this somewhere and I thought it was brilliantly said that we as humans are not designed to be omnipotent. We are not designed to know what's going on all the time, everywhere. And I remind myself of that, and it compels me to shut down my phone, just kind of put it away and not doom scroll or not get caught up in chasing something, because that's not the way we're built. I tend to lean more into local community. I focus on getting good rest. I've been an entrepreneur most of my adult life. I built and sold one business and I've just started another. And it is very easy to get caught up in this stay up all night, barely get sleep,
Mm-hmm.
be the first one up in the morning. And I did not realize how harmful lack of sleep can be until I started getting good sleep and could see the difference. So little things like that are the things that I do for myself on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that you mentioned lack of sleep. We talked earlier about me working remotely and how, you got to find balance with that as well. So that's very important.
Yeah.
So yeah, in our community, we often feel the pressure to be twice as good. How do we teach high achieving Black women that it's okay to be messy sometimes?
So, but you know what though? It's so true. We do have to push to always achieve higher. I think it's important to have your circle, your supporters, and allow them to speak into you. Allow your friends to say, put a plug in that and take a break. Or, you
Mhm.
know, it's okay if you don't beat the deadline by 10 days. It's okay to hit the deadline. Like, I think it's really important to have people you trust who are speaking into you and reminding you that you are human and it's important to take care of your human self. But, when Cheslie wrote her book By the Time You Read This. And I thought it was really profound that in the book, she talked about this push for perfectionism. And she said in her book that she felt the weight of carrying with her all the young people, all the Black people, all the women who'd been denied access to the rooms where she found herself. And I think so many of us feel that when we step into a room and we're the only woman, only Black person, only young person, only senior person, that we are now tasked with carrying the weight of everyone else who's not there, knowing that their opportunity is sitting squarely on your shoulders. Because if you mess up, you've not just messed up for yourself, but it's the feeling that you've also messed up for the people who didn't get a chance to be there. She spoke to that in her book because I do believe she said the quiet part out loud with what a lot of us
Mhm.
feel. And so I think it's so important to double and triple down on taking care of your mental health so that you're not stuck in that place. You have people who remind you that it's okay to step back. It's You don't have to push yourself to exceed everybody's expectations. What you need to do is take care of yourself so that you can continue on your own journey.
And I read the book. I think it should be required reading for every young woman out there who is
Thank
a high
you.
achiever as well, like Cheslie was. So in
Yes.
her memoir, By the Time You Read This, you talk about how even the highest achievers can be struggling in silence. What are the red flags we should look for in our own lives?
Ooh, that's a one thing that I find to be critically important is to learn how to listen to yourself. I do think we spend a lot of time quieting down our own voices, and then listen when we are then forced into rest. Either we become sick or ill or burn out. And I don't think it needs to get to that extreme for us to stop and give ourselves a moment. I really feel like for me, I remind myself that self care is how I love myself and I am worthy of love. And so I work hard to make space for myself because I care.
Yeah, like treating yourself as the MVP, like you are the most valuable person in your life. And that's actually something that I've been working on is talking to myself nicer, like being my own friend. Like really like
Yes.
being kind to myself because I think
Yes.
I am the hardest person on myself. So I think treating myself nicer, speaking kindly to
Oh
myself,
my,
it's a daily thing. Trust me. I'm getting better at it.
it
But
is.
it's so
I was
real.
just sharing this, something that I've learned to do. And actually, when I became a runner, I was a sprinter when I was in school, but in my adult life, I've become more of a distance runner. And one thing that I would always practice when I would run was two things. One, don't cheat myself, and two, give myself a break. And so that taught me how to speak encouragingly to myself.
Mhm.
And if I did find myself slowing down a bit instead of beating myself up, I would give myself some grace. Like I learned that process. And so I was sharing with someone that I do that even now. I have great days, and I have days that are really, really bad. And on my great days, especially when something noteworthy happens, and it doesn't have to be anything big, when something noteworthy happens, I write it down in a journal, and not in a way of marking that event, but I write it to my future self, who I know is going to have a rough day. And what would I want to say to her on those rough days?
Mm.
So I journal love letters to myself. So when I'm having those bad days, I do go back and read my own words that I wrote to myself to remind me that a good day is coming.
Mm. I love it.
And I would encourage people to do that. I'm not a big journaler, so I'm not a person who's in there every day like a diary, but I do remember when I have those magic moments and I'm feeling great, to not just write it in a way that says, I'm Rocky and I just won, but in a way to say, hey, future self, remember when you were struggling thinking this would never happen? Well, this thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so proud of you for hanging in there. Like, I write that letter to my future self, and I always remember to read it when I'm having those bad days.
That is beautiful. That is actually something that I started doing, but on Snapchat back in like
Yeah.
a few years back. And I did these Snapchat video diaries where I would just talk to myself for like a minute straight, just
Yes.
venting. And I would say like, hey, future me, I hope you're feeling well. Hope you're doing great. And I still have these videos
Yes.
that I can go back and look at what I was feeling years back. And I'm still like encouraging myself. So if you're Gen Z, anyone could do it, but I highly encourage you to
Yes.
do like video diaries as well, so you could see
Oh
like
my gosh.
what it's liberating. It's liberating. Yeah, I still do them.
I love that. Honestly, I
you.
love that. And something my husband had shared once on an interview, and I will echo that, is that Cheslie loved the camera. And so she would do that after she passed, when all of her electronics came here, and her cell phone came here, and I started watching some of those. It was everything. It was life for me. Just seeing the things that she would say, an incredible gift. And so for me, I write those letters. I probably would videotape more. I struggle with it because, honestly, I don't know if I'm the only person who's like this. I hate hearing my voice.
Oh, tell me about it. It's actually a natural thing. I've heard some singers say that before, that they
Yes.
didn't like the sound of their singing voice, but
Yeah.
I love it, so it's very natural. And it's something that I've had to, you know, come to terms with as a podcast host, watching myself back and be like, "Oh, did I really sound like that?"
Do it. There's actually science behind that, because when we hear ourselves in our head, it is a different tenant than the voice that's projected out.
Mhm.
And so it's hard to hear that because it's not name.
That's right.
And so, yeah, but I probably should get in the habit of doing that more. My son, who does his little TikToks, tells me all the time, he's like, Mom, you ought to do TikToks. And I'm like, dude, I hate hearing my voice.
I feel you. But before I move on to the next question, just one note about Cheslie is that I really admire her interviewing style. I used to watch her on Extra, and she was really a natural. I know you said before in interviews that she was really introverted, but she was great with people. Like when I saw her
Yes.
talking to people like Rihanna, Denzel Washington, and Oprah Winfrey, she would just light up, and she just had a way of just bringing people into her world. And that's something that
Yes.
I aspire to be like, with
Yeah.
my platform, is to be more like her, honestly. So yeah. And I actually want to
love
get back
that.
and watch her videos about her hair tips, like
Yeah.
growing my
Yes.
natural hair.
Yes.
Incredible. I will get back to that. Note to self.
She was a natural.
Yes.
And I love it. Once someone had asked her about that interviewing, and she said she is just naturally nosy. And so
Curious.
like it's very easy to be up there and ask these questions. And she was just an amazing, incredible woman.
Yes.
I say it all the time. When she would come home, she brought a ton of energy through that front door with her. Incredible. So it was fun to see it also there on the screen, kind of in that setting where she could just kind of have some fun with it.
You can't have a successful launch if the pilot is burnt out. That's why I'm raising awareness for NAMI this season to make sure our mental wellness is cleared for takeoff. If you want to partner with me or support this podcast, please send me an email at thefyfcpodcast@outlook.com. Join the crew. Amazing. She sounds like she was a blessing. She was a blessing.
She truly was.
For those listening during Podcasthon, what is one thing a friend or a family member can do today to truly support a high achiever who seems like they have it all together?
Learn how to listen. I say this often, learn how to really listen. I had to learn how to listen to Cheslie, and she was a high achiever from birth. I mean, seriously, she couldn't say the alphabet fast enough. She couldn't read books fast enough. She had always been a go-getter. And as her mother, I thought out of my 6 children, she's the one that I need to worry about the least. She was very accomplished and, always fun and somewhat up. And after her first attempt, that's when I learned to get really real. Like, she didn't become less of an achiever, but I learned to listen very carefully to the things she said. Let me give you an example. I could tell when she was not in a great place because she would deflect.
Okay.
She would say, people would see her and say, "Oh my gosh, Cheslie, it's so good to see you. How are you doing?" She would immediately say, "I'm doing fine. How are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
That moment of deflection says something she doesn't want to share. I think, another thing is when the things someone loves to do, their energy level starts to change. They look more mechanical about it, and Cheslie, I would also see that something really great would happen. And I would just be absolutely in amazement and be like, "Oh my gosh, that was such an incredible opportunity." And she'd be like, "Yeah, I did okay. It was all right." So I had to really learn how to listen. And most importantly, I had to give her space to not be okay. And there's a dear friend of mine, also a NAMI ambassador. Her name is Dr. Judith Josephs. She wrote a book called High Functioning. And that's another book that I would encourage high achieving women, especially high achieving Black women, to read, because not only is it about checking for the signs in someone else, but it's really taking the temperature of yourself and what's going on. One of the great things about NAMI is the high level of education they provide. And NAMI National, NAMI.org, is a website where people should just get lost in looking for information and educating yourselves. I could tell you the signs that I would see in Cheslie when I would know she's not having a great day. And every day wasn't a catastrophe. Every bad moment wasn't a crash out, but I could just tell when things were a little off. But that was me and Cheslie. Everybody's different. Mental health or mental challenges is not a science. And so one of the things that NAMI has done, which I love, is they have a section for parents. And you can go there and it will tell you some signs to look for, things to look for, and then connect you with those resources, which I think is critical. I'd never heard of NAMI before I lost Cheslie. I heard about NAMI when I went on CBS Mornings with Gail King and Nate Burleson.
I watched that.
Nate was, that was her former coworker, and Gail, of course, was Cheslie's mentor. And after my segment, I was in the green room, and a psychiatrist they had on the program, Dr. Suvarma, joined me in the green room, and I began to tell her there's so many people who are reaching out to me, and I don't know what to tell them. I mean, I'm still reeling from the loss of my own daughter, so I don't want to ignore them, but what do I do? And she said, have you ever heard of NAMI? And I hadn't, and that's when I first learned about NAMI. And one of the most incredible things about NAMI that I love and am passionate about is that they have affiliates all over the country, everywhere, not just on a state level, but in local communities.
Mhm.
And on their website, if you scroll towards the bottom, you can plug in your zip code and it will show you all the affiliates near you. All the services, their support services are 100% free. And so I encourage people, I'll hear people sometimes say, I can't afford a therapist, and I totally get that. But get started then with a support group.
Mhm.
NAMI is boots on the ground for many communities, so they can also connect you with your local resources that can help you. They have family to family counseling, they have peer to peer counseling and support groups for parents with someone who's struggling. I could just go down the list, and I just encourage people, don't try to white knuckle this. Don't try to get through it. Stop dismissing what you know you're feeling and get help, and finding someplace where you are welcome and don't need to feel alone or ashamed is critical. It's critical. And I love that NAMI does.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to circle back to those resources with you right after this last question when we wrap up. But I am so grateful again for your presence. This is my takeoff season. So what does taking off look like for you in 2026 personally?
Wow. I love that. So I have, I mentioned to you before that I had a business and sold, and now I have built another consulting practice. My professional life is in human resources.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have created a platform that works with new and emerging leaders of non-traditional companies, people who don't sit in front of desks, but still need leadership coaching, construction industry, restaurant, hotels. And that is taking off, and I couldn't be more thrilled in being able to lean into that part of my profession that I love. I'm back to speaking. I did take a little bit of a hiatus, which I enjoyed, but I'm back to speaking and got some really incredible opportunities coming up. And so I'm going to be posting about those on my website, aprilsimpkins.com. Finishing up my own memoir, which I'm really excited about. And I'm hopeful that for people who read it, that they don't feel alone, that they find themselves in parts of my story and know that there's hope. There's hope available. And so my 18-year-old is graduating high school.
Congratulations.
So,
Empty nester?
so
Empty nester?
no, I still have a 17-year-old. One more little
Oh,
baby.
almost.
But and so I'm excited. Dear, it's going to be fun because I haven't dropped a kid off in college in 10 years.
Wow.
So I'm excited for him, and I'm excited for his opportunities. 2026 is going to be a good year.
Yes, it is. There is hope. There is hope, like you said.
Yes.
All right. So circling back to some of those resources, for those watching, please check out NAMI.org. That's the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And I also want to bring awareness to the Cheslie Kryst Foundation.
Yes.
What's the website for that people can look into?
CheslieCrystFoundation.org.
Okay.
Yes.
Please check out. Go ahead.
100%. I'm so excited about the foundation because Cheslie is a creative. Everybody in our family is a creative, and there is a scientific link between, your creativity and reducing depression and anxiety, especially in teens. And so we're rolling out our program that will help those teens develop their creativity to support themselves, not for the purpose of performing, but sharpen a skill that you can use and a talent you can use just for yourself, for your mental health release. I couldn't be more excited about that.
Go ahead.
No problem. I want to share just a few more resources. There is also 988 and Suicide Lifeline. And 988 is not just for people who are contemplating self-harm or, who are in a mental health crisis. They are there for people who are just in crisis. Maybe you are that mom who has the baby crying and won't stop crying and you don't know what to do and it's really impacting you. Call 988 and talk with a counselor in that moment. Maybe you just went through a really bad breakup and your friends are tired of hearing it, but you can't stop talking about it because it's really affected you. 988 is there for you. 988 is a crisis and suicide lifeline. And I need to see more people talking about that resource. It is there for you. It is there for the people who are in challenging situations. And I can't speak enough about it. Mental health first aid is another resource. It's mentalhealthfirstaid.org. That is a great way to learn how to support others, not just yourself. So many times people recognize when someone is struggling, but they don't know the words. They don't know what to say. How do I get the conversation started? Where do we go from here? Mental health first aid is going to teach you that. No different than learning physical first aid, right? Learning physical first aid doesn't make you a surgeon, but it'll help you maybe triage someone until help can get there. And mental health first aid, same thing. And the last one I want to mention is SAMHSA, Substance Abuse Mental Health Association, I believe. It's
Okay.
samhsa.org. That is actually a federal agency. And SAMHSA helps people who are struggling with substance abuse and their mental health. And many times that goes hand in hand when people have gone through trauma or some other event and they are seeking coping mechanisms because it's just too heavy maybe for them mentally. And so sometimes people turn to substances. And, if you or a loved one is in that situation, you'll look it up.
Yes, ma'am.
But that is where you will go to help find facilities, education, support. That's where you can go for that.
Thank you. That's a wealth of knowledge, and I will link all of those below in the description where people can find them and take a look for themselves. And last question, but not least, where can my listeners find you?
Listeners can find me at aprilsimpkins.com.
Okay. aprilsimpkins.com. All right. Thank you so much. Yes. And for those listening, don't forget to be a high achiever. You feel me? Bye. Yes.